he's trying to push everybody every single day. And some days I come in here and I don't want to smile with Coach, but it's one of those things. He's the same guy every single day.
All right, meanwhile, Myers Park in North Carolina standout Drake May now has an NFL playoff win under his belt. May had a good day with his legs, and he was clutch with his arm, especially on that beautiful ball to tight end Hunter Henry. Patriots beating the Chargers 16-3. They're on to the divisional round. Now, we've heard the Panthers talk about their new standard.
I've set the bar. We want to win the league. I think we've got the squad to do that. So.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to Live Weather Impact on WCNC Charlotte. I am meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're stuck with me all week because Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich is at a conference out in Tahoe. He's going to bring us back a lot of good stuff from that conference. I'm excited to hear about it, but that means Monday through Friday. It's going to be myself and Tim Buckley basically every single day. With that being said, this morning, big changes, just kind of like the difference between seeing myself and Brad on this show. Temperatures, oh my goodness. James, were you cold this morning?
I was. I had to be at a bus stop at 7 a.m. and it was cold and dark, and I'm ready for June.
I'm like, well, the second semester of school just started, so I feel like it's a little early to be excited about June. But hey, at least Theo is very, very, I feel like he's very aware. He likes the weather, so at least you guys can talk about it.
I also bring light out to the bus stop because all the kids are standing in the dark, and that makes me very nervous.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Hey, I'm sure the other parents really appreciate it. Probably, too, if you brought some extra jackets for their kids who forget them at home for school, because I felt like my sister did that all the time.
I remember my own jacket.
That's true. Okay, well, back to the forecast. 26 degrees was this morning's low. Chris tweeted something earlier, and I just chuckled to myself as I was sleeping and snoozing in bed since I didn't get home till almost 1 last night, since we, of course, have a longer show for Sunday Night Football on NBC. But he said, coldest morning this year. And I thought to myself, well, I guess technically it was. It was 26 this morning, y'all, and that was the coldest, of course, since 2026 began. I do not think that tonight is going to break that, 27 to 28, so a few degrees warmer. But again, biggest difference between the two, you're barely going to notice it, I think, is the wind. So we're not going to be quite as gusty wind-wise tomorrow morning compared to this morning. Current temperatures out there, 45 here in Charlotte, 36 in the mountains. They are dealing with a slight wind chill, as are we here in Charlotte. But I don't necessarily think, again, 45 versus 42, you're really going to notice that difference. I think it's cold across the board and not necessarily dangerous cold at this point, but I think that we're just not as used to it, right, as we normally are used to the 20s, because it's just been so warm over the past few weeks. Again, exceptions to the rule, but in general, we've seen a lot of 70s compared to normal for this time of year. So 27, the official low overnight, but you can see a lot of big changes for the upcoming week. In fact, we talk a lot about the roller coaster ride it is, the ups and downs of living here in the Carolinas and dealing with the weather, and this week is going to be one of those big rides. We have one big, strong dip in the jet stream that comes in Wednesday and Thursday, another one heading into the second half of MLK weekend, which of course is this upcoming weekend, and even a potential another one, 22nd and 23rd. So there will be a lot of changes both with the lows and the highs. Something I noticed putting this graphic together was there are more high temperatures below average than above, which is just not something that we've seen lately. So I think that especially Thursday afternoon, high of only 39 is going to be a bite. It's going to be nipping at you, I think, for sure. Here's satellite and radar across most of the south and east. Of course, you can see things are calm, clear, and quiet. Won't necessarily be that way, of course, all week because of this big change that we do have. Now, before it gets colder again, we will see a slight warm up tomorrow afternoon, especially temperatures reaching the upper 50s to near 60 with a ton of sunshine. You can, of course, see that as we look at Futurecast toward tomorrow, but then here's where the changes come in. And we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about this just because we did discuss this Friday, and I was discussing this too over the weekend, of course, on social media, on WCNC Charlotte. But this first dip in the jet stream, we were watching some signals, right, that there could be a few snow flurries in not only the mountains, foothills, but even right here in the Charlotte area. Now, last night, I discussed the fact that that chance was diminishing, and at this point, I think that chance for Charlotte specifically is virtually zero. We really have no substantial model support at all at this point, even though some of them were previously flip-flopping. But another big thing that I'm noticing over the last 24 to even 36 hours is this front looks to come in quicker. And why that matters is that if the front comes in quicker, that means the moisture comes in quicker, meaning we're not seeing that alignment of the cold air and the moisture at the same time. So here's Wednesday, 6 a.m., starting to see more clouds build in. Temperatures reaching the 50s here in Charlotte Wednesday afternoon. But look at that. Snow already moving into the mountains by 6 o'clock. Areas across, of course, the Piedmont, you see rain because we're in the 50s. There's no way you're going to get snow in Charlotte in the 50s by the time that we finally get that cold air arriving behind the system. At that point, it is too dry for anything to happen. So this first chance, right, that we were keeping a close eye on, again, I think in Charlotte, it's a 0 at this point. That does not necessarily mean we won't see any snow, because the mountains are going to see some. And in fact, they need a lot of it. James, I was looking at the data when I was updating our ski reports, which I'm going to show in just a second. And some of these were like half the amount of snow that was on the ground like last February. So a lot of these areas really, really, really do need snow. Here's a beautiful place. Look at that, Blowing Rock.
Still
Beautiful.
all lit up with Christmas lights.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a very wise woman once wrote a song that said you could keep the Christmas lights up till January. And her name is Taylor Allison Swift. So
There you go. Case closed.
James is like, what on earth is Brittany talking about? Okay, back to the snowfall forecast. Mountains, again, are going to see something. I think in those lower elevation spots, so 3,500 feet and below, maybe an inch if you're lucky, closer to the border of Tennessee, those numbers could be higher. These, of course, were the snow reports or ski reports, that is, I was talking about. The base Beach Mountain Resort at 40 inches. Early February of last year, so just in a few weeks, that will be 365 days, they had 88 inches. Now, I know last ski season they had really good snowfall, but still it's pretty substantial difference. Apski Mountain, I think when I updated that, it was closer to 70, and you can see now it's 24 to 50. Cataloochee was not that much different, but Winter Place and Snowshoe did have a pretty notable difference as well. Winter Place, when I updated it last, it was like 48, so 33, a big difference there. Snowshoe, just about the same. But you can actually also see on the right side of the screen, only about half of the lifts are open in some of those areas. So let's talk snow. So we know that because, of course, this thing is slowing down. We're not expecting snow at this point here in the Charlotte area. I did look back at our snow seasons over the past 10 years. I was doing this during the early newscast. And of course, we did have 2 seasons, as we know, 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, that saw nothing. Finally got some measurable snowfall last winter. Technically, the snow season is winter, so December, January, February. So as you see there, for this year, this does not include that trace that we saw back in November. But of course, we'll talk more about the forecast here coming up with Tim Buckley in about 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Timothy.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you doing today? I'm good. I hope you are.
Fantastic. But I don't know if I'm as good
Nice.
as you after your team won this weekend.
Well, you know, the nice thing about when your team wins, in this case the Bills, is you get to stress out for another week. So you can be really happy, or you could just be stressed out again going into next Sunday. But it is exciting. That was quite a game yesterday in Jacksonville.
I think you guys have probably heard me say this before, but my two best friends who work at the station are both Bills fans. And so every single weekend I'm cheering for them, for you, Tim, and also for them. Very sad, of course, about the Panthers, but they played a great game, honestly. It was really cool to see Charlotte get excited for the first time in so long, about the Panthers and not be constantly bummed every week. So it was really incredible to see how excited everything was.
I couldn't believe how loud it was, even just watching on TV. The roar of Bank of America, it was so loud compared to a routine Sunday. And I know it gets like that, but it's been a little while, like you said. So to hear that kind of intensity, and shoot, they could have won the game at the end. So goes to show, at least, no matter what the record might have said on the team, they belonged, and they had LA sweating it out right till the very end. So
they certainly did.
Kudos, Panthers.
Did you see the videos that were posted, I think, on Twitter and Instagram of people driving on I-77, and when Cam Newton came out, you could hear them the noise coming out of the stadium? It was kind of crazy.
It's wild how far that roar of the crowd can travel. But I did see some people look like they were on the other side of the highway, and you could still kind of make out that huge video board, so you knew what was happening. And it was just the sound then traveled to you. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Cam still got it.
Yeah, he does. He's awesome. So speaking of Sunday, there was a cool little phenomena that happened on Sunday. We had some tweets from folks in northern Iredell County, Alexander County, that they were seeing snow flurries. A lot of it was because the northwest wind was so strong that it was kind of pushing a lot of those snow flurries that we were seeing in Watauga and Wilkes County. And you guys had some of that too, and some grapple too, Tim.
We really did. And, there's no room here to pat ourselves on the back or anything like that. I wasn't expecting this. I don't know that many people were. Sometimes you just get a nice little surprise, and this would qualify. This was something not unheard of, but usually when you have a cold front blowing through and it's coming in from the northwest, it tends not to really produce much of any snow for our area. Certainly not when the temperatures are in the mid to upper 40s. It wasn't that cold yesterday. But part of what happened was it was, in the 40s of the ground, it was extremely cold in the air above our heads. So if you were to go up in an airplane or go up in a balloon or something like that, the temperature was getting so cold very, very quickly. And so you had snowflakes falling from the air, and then they were partially melting, turning into these little snow pellets almost that we call grapple. And Brittany, I was very proud because I had a couple people on social media say, Tim, I think I'm seeing grapple. I've heard you talk about it before. Isn't this grapple? And, that's a nice thing because we try and teach people a couple things here on the show and here on the newscast. So it's always nice when that sticks a little bit.
No pun intended, but well.
Yes. Grapple
Sorry to be silly.
Kind of looks like sleet. Kind of looks like hail. This is the weirdest type of precipitation.
Oh, grapple is for
best
sure
type.
the weirdest. I also think that you tweeted about this, I think. Just a reminder that it does not hail, folks, during winter. So if you're seeing something that is ice, it's probably sleet or grapple, not hail.
Well, unless you're a NOAA climate archive.
Well, that,
Now we're in the weeds. Now it's really...
Yeah, people are like, what on earth are you talking about? That's like you go back and you see a trace of snow in May when it was 85 degrees. I think that's hail.
So hail, the simplest way to put it, hail, thunderstorms. And you can have a thunderstorm in the winter, but you probably wouldn't get one strong enough to make hail. But hail are big ice balls, usually. Even the smallest ones are pea-sized. Sleet are teeny, tiny, itsy-bitsy little ice balls. Grapple's not ice at all. It's just snow that's kind of clustered together. They're little snow pellets, and if you squished them, you could squish them. You can't really squish an ice ball. You can melt it, but you can't squish it. So this is the Dippin' Dots of weather, the little foam, styrofoamy things of weather. That's a quick explanation. I believe we have a better explanation than what I just gave. Our newest meteorologist, Alex Williams, put together a weather IQ on this just last week, ironically enough. And here we go. We had one yesterday.
Have you ever seen something that looks like this? Or maybe this, falling from the sky and accumulating on the ground? It looks like snow or sleet, but it's actually a whole different type of wintry precipitation. Today we're talking about graupel. Let's raise that weather IQ. Graupel forms when a snowflake falls through a layer of supercooled water droplets, like you see here. Those droplets freeze upon contact with the snowflake, coating it with a layer of rimed ice that looks like a small white pellet. While they both look like pellets, graupel and sleet are not the same thing. Sleet starts as a liquid that refreezes into ice pellets, whereas graupel starts as snowflakes that fall through layers of cold water droplets and turn into snow pellets. Graupel is also not hail. Hail forms in strong thunderstorms and is hard and layered. Graupel typically forms in cold, wintry cloud types during snow showers or snow squalls. To your eye, graupel looks like tiny styrofoam balls about the size of a BB or a small pea. They're soft and crunchy, not hard like hail. If they hit the ground, they sometimes bounce, and if you squeeze one, it simply falls apart. So the next time you're outside and it looks like it's snowing Dippin' Dots instead of flakes, well, that's just graupel, a sign of cold, unstable air overhead. With your weather IQ, I'm meteorologist Alex Williams.
So similar to what we just said, Tim, I do think it's funny because my mom one time was watching Live Weather Impact actually and texted me in all caps, "What's graupel? I've never heard of that." And I said, well, obviously you don't really listen to anything I say then, Diane. So.
Graupel, graupel, graupel. You got to say it a couple times, get comfortable with it, maybe spell it out, and then it'll be a word that you own and can use confidently. Now, identifying it like we said, it's E-L. Yes, that's fun.
Well, you said to spell it.
It's just not something we see. Yeah. Give me a G. Give me an R.
Okay,
It's
Tim.
a snow pellet.
James. he was like
the
doing
memo.
his waving his hands.
I'm spelling
you were
it.
actually doing it.
G-R. I can't do it.
A is probably the easiest to do.
How do you do the E? I don't know.
I guess it depends on if you're doing uppercase or lowercase. All right, let's stop being
It's fun.
silly
I
for
like
a
when
second.
it graupels outside. Yes.
Who doesn't? Tim, on the topic of winter weather, let's talk snow hype.
Sure.
You look concerned.
A lot of ways we could go with this. I'm not concerned. I think, you said to get serious. So I'm
sorry.
getting serious.
Okay, yeah. So snow hype, it's been all over social media the last few days. At this point,
Yeah.
I do not expect us to see any snowflakes in Charlotte on Thursday because we've seen that first system looks like it's speeding up a lot, so we're just not going to get the cold air and the moisture at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about this a little bit before the show or over the weekend too. There are still some signals that we could see cold air and moisture later on the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there are a couple of things to hit on, which you just mentioned, which are really smart. Number one, if you're online or anywhere in the social media space, boy, anytime that a computer model shows snow for the Carolinas, you're going to see it on there. And just know that, because that's the fact of where we live in this day and age. It's not rare at all for computer models to forecast snow for our area. Happens all the time. It's happened a lot already this year. I think Brad tends to keep track of these things. I don't know the exact number of inches that computer models have forecast for us this season, but it's a lot. It's probably in the dozens. When you have to parse out that and figure out, okay, is it actually going to snow though? That's the much harder question. So that's when you apply these rules of We live in North Carolina. What kind of makes sense? What doesn't make sense? Like you just said, on the Thursday side of things, we don't really have cold air in place. And that's always a red flag. And in this case, too, Brittany, I think it's really speeding up. So whereas a couple of days ago it looked like it would be happening on Thursday, now it's arriving really Wednesday night, this cold front heading into our area. And at that point, our temperatures are going to be even warmer. So I really think that takes the Thursday chance basically off the table. At most, you might be able to mix in with a little sleet or a little grapple or something, maybe up in my area, but not a good chance. But like you were also saying, watching the weekend, that might be more interesting. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it will be colder. Could you get any chances to sync up? It's possible, but I would say right now, I just don't know the answer to that just yet.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the, Brad, of course, has his winter weather, tips, and you have your snow rules that we talked about last week. But, it's hard to find that convergence of those things at the same time. As we know, of course, snow maps are always, in this day and age of social media and the internet, are always getting shared like crazy. But there's notable reasons why we don't always trust everything that a model shows us. And I love the sleet ruins everything, just because it of course cuts down on totals. But I think that number 7 is another good one, right? Models guidance, not gospel. And so we got to watch trends, right? I think that's a reason why when we see a signal that could hint at moisture and cold air happening at the same time, we talk about a signal of potential colder air, colder temps, more moisture, but we're never saying, 2 weeks out that it's for sure going to snow, because that's like saying a hurricane's for sure going to make landfall along the Carolina coast. It's just, you don't know.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the simplest and the silliest rule is number 1. It's just hard for it to snow in North Carolina. And you talked about that in great detail a couple weeks ago. There are a lot of reasons for that. But if you have the cold air here, a lot of times it's too dry. If you have the moisture here, a lot of times it's too warm. You got to have both. And you can't mess up either one. And moreover, you can't have the sleet to ruin it. So there's a lot of factors at play. So let's keep an eye on the weekend. I do think we'll want to watch for any trends. But right now, the overall trend has been for us to be pretty much cold and dry, even through next Monday. I think any odds of snow at this point are probably in that 20% range for that upcoming weekend. So we'll just keep an eye on it. That's not nothing. That's something. But it does kind of boil down to, the smarts of looking at more of an ensemble approach rather than just a single model run approach, Brittany. And a lot of people might not have a lot of familiarity with that, but you put together a nice video yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, let's go to that so we can talk a little bit about what it means on the other side.
You guys are going to see a lot of posts this week on social media about the chance of snow in the Carolinas as well as the Charlotte area. So before that happens, I want to talk to you about the difference between deterministic and ensemble model data. So a deterministic model run is taking your best available data, what you expect initial conditions to be at that time, run the computers, and boom, you got a forecast. But now this is just one of an infinite number of possibilities. So the way to get around this is taking that same best available data and changing the initial conditions just a bit and rerunning, typically between 12 to 51 times. Put together as an average, and now you have an ensemble, or an average of those different initial conditions. I want to use this example of today's American model, where earlier it was showing widespread snow potential in Charlotte. That's the deterministic, so just one model run based on one solution, and the ensemble, which shows none of that. In fact, nothing at all. Zero, zilch. Only snow in the mountains. How do you know which one is right? Well, what you want to see is consistency between the deterministic and the ensemble, as well as consistency between runs. And unfortunately, we're just not seeing that with this solution so far this week. The GFS regular deterministic has been wilding out, almost every single run, jumping back and forth, one showing snow, one showing nothing, while the ensemble has been pretty consistent with all that snow staying in the mountains. So I promise we'll continue to keep a close eye on it. There still is the chance that we could see a few flurries this week in Charlotte, but as of right now, I'm not convinced. Still cautiously optimistic, so make sure you're staying tuned for any updates.
And I will say, Tim, I recorded that yesterday around this time after the 18Z had come in, and you saw like that little chance, but the 0Z, which comes in about 6 hours later, automatically pulled back, as we saw, of course, and then now it's pretty much in agreement with the ensemble that it's only staying in the mountains. So the GFS, it seems, has, I don't want to say unreliable, but this year, at least with snow, has been kind of that model that's like going crazy with the chances, and then it pulls back. So you'll see like one run that's like 8 inches, and then one run that's 0, and then one that's 6, and then one run that's 2. And so again, you want consistency between the American, the European, the Canadian, whatever it is, but you also want those averages to be similar, because it's like if I say something crazy, but then Tim and Brad are saying the opposite, you're going with the consistency of the people who are saying something that makes sense, not the one crazy person like out here waving our hands. Plus,
I think
like,
what's
of
really
course,
frustrating about
no, you're fine.
what I don't like about where we are nowadays is with all of this so widely available to everybody. I mean, you could go down the street and ask someone, do you know what the GFS model is? They're probably going to say yes. This is a crazy thing compared to about 10 years ago or 20 years ago. That just wasn't the case. Now everybody knows about them. They all want to know what they're saying. But, you know, it's not your job as a weather consumer or a quote-unquote normal person. It's not your job to figure out what's going to happen with the weather. That's our job. So what I don't like is when people just put out all the models and say, well, here are the options, you pick. That's not really meteorology. So if we're doing our job right, what we do is we take those models, we kind of, you know, use our smarts about the weather and then make a forecast from it. And right now, the best forecast for North Carolina is it's probably not going to snow on Thursday outside of the mountains. And for the weekend, maybe a little bit of a better chance than normal of something popping, but still that's an overall low probability just because it's so hard to do. So keep checking back, and we'll let you know if the signal gets a little stronger and if you got to buy some salt or get a shovel. But as of right now, I don't think you need to do that, which might make you sad. And the emotions, at the end of the day, the emotions are what makes snow different than every other kind of weather, because we get emotional when it comes to snow.
Happens every time. Happens every time.
It does. We like it.
Yeah,
Or we might
I
not
don't
like it.
Yeah, I mean, at
But
least
everyone
for
has an
me,
opinion.
yeah. I'd like a little bit, but at least in this case, it doesn't look like it's going to happen Wednesday or Thursday. We, of course, will be tracking this every single day for you. Live Weather Impact, WFMY Plus, WCNC Plus. Tim, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.
Grapple.